This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So yesterday's demo session was basically a Q&A session, and I tried my level best to address all the concerns, all the questions, apprehensions, what exactly is this? And I believe I cleared all your doubts, but still, in case if you guys have any doubts about it, you guys are most welcome to approach me. Today's session is about the technology, and this session talks about Nexus hardware. The topic called Nexus hardware, this is not a topic which forms integral part of CCIE Data Center version 3.0 blueprint. Then why are we studying this particular topic? Guys, need not say that it is very, very important for us to know what are the Nexus devices. What are the various models in the Nexus range of switches? Over here, we will be going through them. Besides the models which I have mentioned you over here, there are other accompanied model over here. For example, this 5000 is accompanied with 6000 and fulfilling the same requirements. And then there is another model not very significantly used, that is called 3000 series. Well, this particular model called 2000 series, I have prefixed it by switch, but this switch is not, this suffix switch is not for 2000 because this is not a switch. We will definitely conclude this particular Nexus hardware understanding with this particular device by proving that this particular device is not a switch. Rest all Nexus devices written Nexus in front of them, prefixed by Nexus, they are all switches. So guys, this Nexus family is a family of switches and not the family of routers. Definitely in this particular family, the routing capabilities are inbuilt in the switches, very much different from that of our traditional switches which were given to us in the CAT operating system. All right, but with regards to these devices, we are going to talk about their chassis, the supervisor engines, the fabric modules, and the line card. Well, only with regards to our dear friends Nexus 9000 and Nexus 7000 family, we do need to talk significantly about the chassis and each and every component of the chassis. Supervisor engines, the terminology is not new to us. The supervisor engines, of course, we will be talking with regards to Nexus 9000 and 7000. And same the fabric modules, we will be talking with regards to Nexus 9K and 7K and the line cards also. So what am I trying to tell you is, with regards to these switches, Nexus 9000 and 7000, which are a high range switches, and they have got separate components, and we do call these switches predominantly as modular switches. Besides calling them as modular switches, we do call them as, you know what, we use a term called, I'm losing the touch with my pen, fabric switches. So the very first question which we are going to address over here is, what is the meaning of fabric? Why do we call these switches as fabric switches? Before that, I would like to start this particular understanding with Nexus 9000. This Nexus 9000 is the top-notch switch. This Nexus 9000 is used or is available in two different variants with regards to the operating system and the functionality. One variant is called Nexus 9000 with a Nexus operating system running, and other Nexus 9000 is the one with ACI operating system running, which is nothing but the Cisco's SDN solution, software defined networking solution, we will be talking about. And definitely we have to work extensively on this operating system. Okay, first of all, let us give our focus on Nexus 9000. Guys, when it comes to understanding the hardware devices, we feel like touching them. We feel like having the devices right in front of them. And let us say thank you so much to Cisco for providing us a beautiful tool, a very much interactive tool, which let me present to you, which is known as guys, just a second. I'm just okay. Cisco 3D interactive catalog. This Cisco 3D interactive catalog, which is available in two variants. One is a downloadable variant, which is a desktop install, and other variant is called online web variant of it. It is available. Let me click online variant. If you want to download, you can definitely download. And I heard, never use that this is available for your Android operating systems as well, which you do have in your mobiles, as well as for Mac, your Apple variant, so that we can have the tool ready in our hand. But there's a caveat, guys. This is very processor intensive, as experienced by me. So I try to download and then install it. Rather, I love to play it online. So this tool is talking about HyperFlex devices, routers, switches, UCS series, and optical networking. Our focus is on the switches, so we'll click switches. And in the switches, we will not be talking about MDS because they are the storage switches. We are not going to use these switches even in our lab. We are going to talk about the high-end Nexus 9000 series of switches. What you can see over here is they have just presented us few of Nexus switches. What we can see is there are two different models which are available in terms of series. One model series is known as 9300 series, and other model series is known as 9500 series. Let us look at into Nexus 9500 series switches. Let us look at into from front, rear, inside, outside, top, bottom, wherever you want to. And in this regard, let us click on the model called 9508. Use these simple gestures to explore the product. Thank you very much. I will. Nexus 9508, dear friend, come in front. Yes, here it is. The switch comes in front of it. Let's take a quick look on it. The description of the switch. All right, good. And if you try to zoom it, what do we see? We do see various line cards in front of it. All the line cards are placed on the upper decks, and then let me zoom it further. And then at the bottommost slot or the module, we have got our dual supervisor engine placed. Model is Sup A. All right, we will be talking about the models as well. Now, point to be noted, And compared over here is with regards to Catalyst 6500 series switches. Guys, if you have ever seen them, hope you will recall that in case of Catalyst 6500 or series of switches, supervisor engine used to be placed almost in the center of the chassis. Why supervisor engines are placed at the bottom of the chassis? This should be the very first question which should click in your minds. All right, this is a question I have given to you and I'm going to give answer to it. And let us go on the twist the chassis and let us go on its rear side and rear view. On the rear of the chassis, what do we see? We are seeing the fan trays over here. Depending upon the size, we will have different. So pointer icon, if you click, what is it? 3 fan trays, 1, 2, and 3. What is this? It is talking about up to 6 fabric modules. The question is, where are they? They are behind fan trays, guys. Second most important point to be taken care of, this particular device is having the fabric modules. We are going to come over to what is a fabric module, and let us take a look on this icon. No middle plane for line card to fabric module connectivity. Another important point, I read it once again, no mid plane for line card to fabric module connectivity. Just make a note of it. We are going to look at into the meaning of this particular sentence. And then the fourth and the last icon, it says 2 system controllers. So this particular component we have never seen before, right? So quite peculiar things are over here. So let us unfold the secret behind it. But before it, back onto the front, what we should see now is with regards to supervisor engine. So the supervisor engine so available in the Nexus 9500 series switches is half blade. It's not consuming the full width of the chassis and thus full slot. It is just consuming half. Compare it with supervisor engines in Catalyst 6500 series. If you want to look at into more details of it, what exactly are the components, you can zoom it up. It has got RAM, it has got processor, it has got many condensers, chips and all. All right. But one point to be noted here is I would like to give a twist to this. Okay. All right. And please take a look on these different ports. Okay, this is the maximum zoom I can do it. Look at over here and look at over here. The ports, that is a connector ports, they are different. What you need to look at into is the purpose of these ports and the purpose of these ports, where these ports will go and connect to which particular device. Okay, I'm just throwing some certain questions to you guys and system controller. For the purpose of system controller, they just took us on the rear of the chassis and showed us at the bottom of the chassis. Unfortunately, they have not taken it out. They are not going to take the system controller out, but it is just nothing but it is a card. I have system controller picture in one of my slides. I'll show you that. Now, if we quickly go and look at into his family members, say Nexus 95, 16, big chassis, mini refrigerator chassis, you can call it. 16 means it has got 16 slots. Why it's taking time to come in front? Maybe is it because, all right. If we look at into this particular chassis from close, all on first 15 slots slots, what we have got all the line cards placed in front. The position, horizontal position, good. And then on the bottommost slot, we can see two supervisor engines, again the half width supervisor engine. All right, let us go and look at the rear of it. Rear, the same thing. Only the difference is the size. Rest, no other difference. Now, quickly, we'll take a look on the smallest of 9500, and then we will start deciphering the terminologies and their architecture. Access 9504, my dear friend, please come in front. Don't shy. Maybe there is all right, here it is. So if we browse it up, if you navigate this hardware, same. How many slots? We have got 1, 2, 3, 4 line cards and a dedicated slot for the supervisor engine. If we go on the rear, same thing, 3 fan trays, so of course smaller ones, and we on the bottom we have got the system controllers. Now guys, I would like to go back. Now I would like to open my paint, and the question is, first of all, I made a statement and I told you guys that these switches are the fabric switches. Okay, I have used only 3550. Dear friend Mujahid, very good. You have used 3550. If I'm not wrong, this is not a Nexus switch. It is a cat.
It is a catalyst
anyway
model.
Yes, so we are not going to talk about cat-based switches. Dear friends, the question is, what do we mean by, first of all, we are calling these switches as fabric switches. And a simple question comes as, why should we call them fabric switches? Is it just a fancy terminology, or this terminology has a meaning? Guys, very simple question which comes to us is, what do we mean by terminology fabric? Anyone, I would really appreciate. I have got, you know, $1 million to give to the right answer. Yes, and the transfer is going to happen immediately in your accounts. Now tell me, $1 million question. What do you mean by fabric? Herein, guys, my dear
Group
friends, you need not be a group of
any thread that connects 2 points.
Any thread that connects 2 points.
That's not a technical answer. I'm just giving a layman sort of answer.
Absolutely. My expectation is, please give the layman's answer. Don't give me technical answer.
Group of switches.
And you know what? Group of switches. Okay. All right. Let me try.
For me, it's a matrix approach. A matrix approach between line card and supervisors. Line card are like horizontal and supervisor are vertical, so that they can form a sort of matrix, you know.
Very good. Deva, very good. Well, instead of supervisor engine, you should have used a different terminology, but your understanding is very well correct. So, all right, not 100%. So I'm going to give you $500,000. After the class, you can check your account. Okay, guys, let me tell you something. What is a fabric? There seems some network issue. I got a message from my friend, go to meeting, telling that my connection is lost. Now it is restored. Okay. No, all right. Okay, I'm just drawing certain lines. Horizontal, horizontal lines I have drawn. 4 horizontal lines. Now let me draw certain vertical lines. You know what? Assuming the fact that these horizontal lines and vertical lines, ultimately, if they are weaved together, no, I don't want to. Okay, let us do something. If you weave them together, if you knit them together, my dear friend, what you get as a resultant is known as fabric. In layman's term, what is a fabric? Fabric is a cloth. How a cloth is obtained? By the process of weaving. Right? Yes, we all understand fabric is nothing but it is a horizontal and vertical weaving of what? Of the strings. Various strings, when they are knitted together, when they are weaved together in a specific pattern, what we obtain is a fabric. Now, why Cisco has started calling the switches as fabric switches? With the specific reason. First of all, the terminology fabric comes from the weaving. Here, the horizontal strings are known as line cards. And the vertical strings, which are meant to connect the line cards together, of course, what these vertical strings they are going to do, they will make sure that the line cards, the horizontal running line card, they can talk to each other, and Cisco calls them as FMs. Fabric modules. So what are fabric modules? These are the horizontal cards which get socketed with the line cards and thus provides interconnectivity between the line cards. With regards to Nexus 9000 and Nexus 7000, which are called as pure fabric switches, the placement of the line cards and the fabric modules is this type only. So the common thing between Nexus 9000 switches, Nexus 9K and Nexus 7K is that you will have line cards and you will have fabric modules. The ideal way of connecting them is horizontal and vertical. Now, coming over to Nexus, we will definitely look at into Nexus 7000, its families, and there I would like you guys to prove me wrong as well as somewhere with regards to one of the model. I'll give you that leverage. All right. So in case of Nexus 9000, another very important point which we notice while navigating Nexus 9000 family is does not have the mid plane. The terminology, guys, is known as mid plane. Guys, let me tell you that I am very much in love with Nexus 9K. Why? It is simply because of its architecture. It has got the most meaningful architecture. So I'm gonna prove that why I'm in love with Nexus 9K. Okay, now it is for the first time that Cisco said that this Nexus 9K switches, they do not have any mid plane. So the question comes is, what is mid plane and where was it in Nexus 7K and other chassis, for example 6500 and all. Hope you know that with regards to Catalyst 6500 series of switches, Cisco used to use a term called backplane. And the capacity of the switches used to be judged based on the backplane capacity, 720 Gbps, etc., etc. Now, the big question, even when I heard the terminology backplane way back in the year 2007, I just simply got confused why my sales team, they are talking about the supervisor engine, the chassis with regards to the backplane. All right. Now Cisco is saying, forget about backplane, even these switches, they do not have midplane. Now, the midplane or the backplane, the throughput of, in case of Catalyst, in case of our Catalyst 6500, the throughput, the terminology is throughput of the switches, right, used to be based on the backplane capacity of the supervisor engines, right? But it is not the case. Now what am I trying to tell you is, I have to show you now. With regards to Nexus 9000 family, in which 9500 family specifically I'm talking about, not Nexus 9300 family, because this family is a fixed modular switch, it's fixed module based switch, not the highly 100% fabric modular switches. In case of Nexus 9500 family, where we have got three major switches like Nexus 9504, 9508, 9516 switches. These switches, they have got the line cards. Kindly appreciate the fact over here that the line cards are being placed horizontally and the devices called fabric modules are being placed vertically. Now, important thing for us to understand is the where the fabric modules are placed. Dear friends, the line cards are always placed from the front of the chassis, and they are always in a horizontal position. The fabric modules, the FMs, which are meant to weave the line cards together, they are placed from rear of the chassis, rear, and they are always placed in vertical position. Yes, they are covered by, they are behind the fan trays. So they make sure that all the line cards, they get properly interconnected. I'm using a term, they get properly weaved together. Not only this, it is also the responsibility of the fabric module, guys, to connect the line cards with the supervisor engine as well. All right, I really want to give you a very simple picture to understand this. And the picture is, no one's picture, but it is our own picture. Delete. I want a pen. Guys, the
Allô? Allô, Sadika? Allô? Ça va? Oui. Ah bon?
oui, merci
Il est
Demba.
où?
Est-ce que tu peux parler avec ton enfant après quelques minutes?
Sorry, I didn't know my mic was on.
Non, pas de problème, merci beaucoup. Tu parles français, je parle français aussi, mais en petit français.
Ok, merci,
Ok,
merci.
guys. Bien sûr. C'est ton enfant? Okay, guys. I know that my friend Demba is from Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast, we all know it was a French colony, just like India, it was a British colony. So yes, French is his mother tongue, right, Demba? Okay, guys, let's
Yes,
look at
that's right.
into our
It
own
was
picture.
my son. Thank you.
Bien sûr, monsieur. Okay, so this is our own picture, guys. The question is, what is this? These are our limbs, right? And what is this? This is our spinal cord. And what is this? This is our brain. So human body is made up of, at a very high level, limbs, spinal cord, and brain. Don't you think that limbs are just like our line cards? To connect the line card, we require a spinal cord. Don't you think the spinal cord is just like our fabric module? And definitely this fabric module is not only connecting the limbs on the right and the left, but it is also connecting the brain, which is nothing but which is our supervisor engine. So considering this fact, don't you think the Nexus 9K believes holistically in this particular architecture, of course made by the God? Yes. And what Nexus 9K family says that in order the best architecture, connectivity architecture between the line cards and the supervisor engine is not to rely on any other media, say the chassis. The chassis, what we are going to be there, it is absolutely going to be a blank chassis, which will not take the onus or the responsibility to connect limbs with the brains. Guys, based on this, for the first time in the history of Cisco's history, Cisco presented, openly marketed the absolute blank chassis of Nexus 9000 switches, Nexus 9500. If you look at into the chassis, there are no copper traces, no copper traces to connect the line cards with the supervisor engines. Cisco in Nexus 9500 series chassis says the chassis is absolutely a blank chassis. The line cards are socketed together by the virtue of the fabric modules, and by the virtue of fabric module only, that line card they get connected to the supervisor engines placed at the last slot. So guys, that's the reason. That is the reason I am in love with this particular chassis, because this chassis gives me the most meaningful architecture. Why we don't want chassis to take the onus? Because of a simple reason, guys, something in technical term called attenuation. Attenuation is nothing but the loss of the bandwidth. The attenuation is nothing but it is due to the middleman, man in the middle. Which is that man? Copper traces inside the chassis for the purpose of connectivity. Instead of that, we are including a man in the middle. As you all know, our spinal cord is nothing but it is a tail of our brain. So this means the fabric modules which are going to be placed vertically, they will have an intelligent ASIC, programmed ASIC chip as well, to make sure that the interconnectivity between the line card happens not at the wire level but at the highest programmable level. This is what our Nexus 9500 series switches are. Nexus 9504, 9508 and 9516, just 3 different models are there. Now, another very important and component in this particular chassis is the introduction of supervisor engines. They are of different models available: Sup A, Sup A plus, Sup B and B plus. They vary based on their capabilities. Capabilities are just predominantly with the help of their processor, DRAM and SSD. You can see that supervisor engine B, they are having a 256 GB of hard disk, and DRAM in supervisor B plus is having 32 GB of DRAM. Highly capable. Okay. Now, the important thing with regards to these switches, first time introduced by Cisco in any of the model, is known as system controller. The question is why? Again, we are saying why to the system controller. Guys, have you, in case if you are using MacBooks, either Mac Pro or other models of Mac, even your MacBooks, they have got a system controller. What is that? We can talk about it later. But in these particular switches, Cisco introduced system controller. What for? With the holistic intention to offload supervisor engine from the jobs, unnecessary jobs for which he should not spend his brain activities. What are those jobs? For example, checking the temperature of the chassis, looking at into the status of the power supplies, looking at into the performance and the functioning of the fan trace. Guys, these are the functions supervisor engine believes that I can easily offload these less important functions which are not contributing to the data plane or control plane, right? These are non-data plane and control plane functions. Why not to offload these functions to a separate card? And yes, in this particular chassis, 9500 series chassis, Cisco offloaded less important non-control plane based functions to a separate card known as system controller. Guys, one important point which you definitely need to appreciate is again the position of the system controller. Before that, okay, 9508. Before looking at into where system controller is positioned, guys, let us take a look again where our supervisor engines are commissioned. Our supervisor engines are commissioned or positioned front of the chassis, horizontal at the bottom of the line cards. Now, if we go on the rear of the chassis, at the rear of the chassis, what do we see? At the bottom, we do see two system controllers. Again, half-width system controller. Where are they placed? They are placed at the bottom of the chassis. So don't you think the placement of system controller and a supervisor engine is very much strategic? System controller functionality, which is offloaded by the supervisor engine, right? But still supervisor engine is connected to the system controller. So system controller is another very important and integral component of the chassis to make the 9500 series chassis the most efficient one. I hope this makes sense to you guys. Definitely you can go more and more into nitty-gritty of it, but that is not the intention of understanding. In case if you are preparing a bill of material, lot of other things you need to check with regards to which device to buy and why this device needs to buy. But this is, I have just given you a very high level understanding, which will help you in future for sure. Okay. With this decent and handsome understanding of Nexus 9500 series switches, we have different line cards available, different models of the line cards based on what speed we are looking for. We do have line cards with an available speed of 1 gig, 10 gig, 40 gig, and also available in 100 gigs. You may ask, why do we need 100 gig? Guys, let us, with regards to this, look at into the placement of these switches specifically in our ACI fabric. All right, this is what I was telling you. The placement of the fabric module and the line card. This picture is definitely taken from the Cisco's site, and this is for the first time that Cisco clearly showed the connectivity between the line cards and the fabric module. For the first time, Cisco showed us a naked chassis, and that too very proudly. You try to look at into the chassis, right, of Nexus 7000. Cisco is not going to show you the inside of the chassis. Okay, I was telling you the fabric module, they have got a programmed intelligent ASIC chip, and that is nothing but that is called network forwarding engine. Depending upon the Nexus box which you are using, you may have more number of network forwarding engines. Guys, look at the terminology network forwarding engine, which means that this is contributing to the data plane communication and intelligently programmed ASIC chips, and not only the wires to connect the line cards. Different models of fabric modules are there. Okay. Now then, I will come back to the question, why 100 Gbps of interfaces? But before that, I just wanted to tell you about Nexus 9300. Besides, guys, having Nexus 9500 series of switches, Cisco comes up with Nexus 9300, but for the purpose of ACI, the purpose of our ACI architecture. What is this ACI? Guys, the very first thing which we do understand when it comes to ACI is absolute layer 2 loop free architecture. Now, to make it a loop free architecture, what ACI talks about? ACI says that I am going to provide you an architecture of this type where we will not allow spanning tree protocol to work. Why? Because we are not providing you any loop. What does this mean? This means that there is no horizontal connectivity between the devices. All right, we will be taking a detailed discussion on it in our topic called ACI, but it expects that the upper tier devices and the lower tier devices, which will be taking a heavy bandwidth of data plane, they should have a minimum of 40 gig of interfaces, and you may have, based on the bandwidth requirement, connectivity between them on 100 Gbps of interfaces. That is the reason Nexus 9500 comes along with, okay, where Nexus 9500 switches are placed, guys, at this particular place. We do place at a spine, we call it as a spine, we do place Nexus 9500, and at the lower deck we place our Nexus 9300 series switches. The connectivity between upper deck and the lower deck, Nexus 9500 and Nexus 9300, it has to be minimum of 40 gig. If required, you can go for 100 gig of connectivity as well. So point to be noted, Nexus 9300 series switches, they were predominantly introduced by Cisco to pair with Nexus 9500 series switches, and then these switches, they can be connected to the downstream servers. Well, this will be discussed in detail. The architecture will be discussed in detail in the topic called application-centric infrastructure. The topic which we do pick immediately after completing our module 1, which is Nexus module. I probably told you this yesterday. Okay, but for the purpose of those customers who do not want to spend very high amount and they do not have a very high bandwidth requirement, Cisco has come up with Nexus, some of the models in Nexus 9300 series switches, which are considered to be as the baby spine switches. So we have got couple of Nexus switches. For example, if you take a look over here, Nexus 9336 PQ, this particular switch is known as baby spine switch. Look at its interfaces. All the interfaces are called SFP plus interfaces. In our line card understanding, I will tell you how to decipher the name, what is the meaning of card as well over here. So, but all these interfaces are the 40 gig interfaces, and they are meant to be connected to the bottom layer with the having leaf switches. Okay. In short, Nexus 9300 series switches, they are fixed line card based switches to be deployed as leaf switches. They do not have the fabric modules. They are not 100% modular. They have got sometimes the modules, otherwise they are fixed module switches. They do not need system controller, and they of course do not have the supervisor engines. Supervisor engine functionality, which is a control plane functionality, is built right on its motherboard, which takes the responsibility of control plane. So no system controller, no dedicated supervisor engine, and no fabric module. They just have the line cards. Okay. All right. This was just a brief discussion about Nexus 9000 family with the focus on our 9500 and Nexus 9300. Guys, we can have week-long class only on Nexus 9500 and Nexus 9300, but that is not the requirement of our course. I would just like to take a pause over here. Want to give opportunity for you guys. If you have any question, please go ahead. Feel free if you have any question, any doubt, any comment, any complaint about what I said. And this pause gives me an opportunity to sip some water. Okay, fine. There are a couple of chat messages. Wow, Mujahid, my dear friend, absolutely, you gave the correct answer. I'm so sorry, guys. Sometimes, you know, I skip the messages. The chat messages gets popped up on the screen. But if I really need to look into the historic messages sent by you, yes, I have to explicitly open the chat window, and definitely my chat window you cannot see. That is host chat window, you guys cannot see the participant. Please explain ASIC and airflow, temperature, etc. Abhinav, wonderful question you have asked. Please explain, guys. I just read the question by Abhinav about ASIC and airflow, temperature, etc. Well, we do talk about the airflow, temperature, etc. with focused attention on Nexus 7000. So ASIC, as you all know, ASIC stands for application specific integrated circuit, which is nothing but it is a programmed silicon chip where certain programs are written which governs. ASIC is nothing but it is the brain, and it's a very generic term, but provides intelligence to a device. But Abhinav, dear friend, one of the most important questions you have asked is about airflow. Even temperature is not that very important to be discussed, but airflow is which environment requires 100 GB connectivity. Nishant, dear friend, when you are connecting spine and leaf switches in a large data center environment where you have got, say, for example, 200 leaf nodes having more than 1000 endpoints, it is suggested to go for 100 Gbps of connectivity between 9500 series switches and 9300 series switches. In a small lab environment, it is okay to have 40 Gbps of connectivity between spine and the leaf switches. That is 9500 and 9300 series switches. Okay. I just read 2 pop-up messages. Do we have any other questions? Further on, dear Nishant, your question could be addressed in detail in ACI topic. All right. Now, Umair, explain the licensing in Nexus switches. What is essential advantage and premier license? Umair, my dear friend, it is also a $1 million question. Thank you so much for asking. But licensing for the purpose of operating system and licensing, we will be having a separate sub-module inside the Nexus. That is the chapter after completing our hardware. We do have a chapter on NX OS and licensing, but not over here. I'm going to talk about and advantages and of the premier license. I'll be covering it in NX OS. Guys, sorry if you feel that I'm taking liberty to park the questions, but yes, I do take liberty to park those questions, answers of which are there in my future slides. Okay, otherwise we will not be able to move forward. Cisco Nexus 7000 family. In Cisco Nexus 7000 family, we have got two type of family members. One, which are older members called as Nexus 7000, and other ones are Nexus 7700. Dear friends, let me tell you, Cisco is never going to accept the mistakes, the architectural mistakes which Cisco did when Cisco introduced Nexus 7000. There was a tremendous architectural mistake which Cisco did in one of the switch in this. I would appreciate you guys to find the architectural, I'm talking about the hardware architectural as well as the logical architectural flaws in Nexus 7000. So Cisco, in order to market its and justify the concept of fabric, introduced Nexus 7700 series of switches. So first of all, with holistic intention to find the flaws in Nexus 7000, let us look at into Nexus 7000 series of switches. In Nexus 7000 series of range of switches, what we saw various models: 7004, 7009, 7010, 7018, 77. This is our 7700. Okay. Now, what am I trying to tell you? First of all, let us look at into the difference between Catalyst operating system and Nexus 7000. The Nexus 7000 talks about the fabric switches. I really do not know when Cisco introduced Nexus 7000 what actually they thought of the fabric, but now their approach of the fabric is absolutely holistic approach, as we discussed in Nexus 9500. Whether it was just a fancy terminology which Cisco introduced, earlier people used to think, oh, it is a fancy terminology, but now the fabric terminology has become the most meaningful. Okay, in Catalyst 6500, as I told you that we used to talk much about the backplane capacity, and that too with regards to the supervisor engine. In Nexus 7000, in fabric switches, we do not use the backplane terminology, right? Instead, we do say in Nexus 9500, no midplane. Forget about backplane. There's no backplane. There's no midplane even. That is, there is a direct connectivity between line cards and the supervisor engine. No dependence on the copper traces running inside the chassis. The connectivity between line cards and supervisor engine is, of course, based on NFE, network forwarding engine, which is a programmed intelligent ASIC chip, right? Okay. We are going to talk about, if time permits, about various input output modules, about the chassis, about the supervisor engines and fabric module. But the most important is to talk about the chassis to begin with. All right, Nexus 7000 is a common foundation for Nexus 7000 and Nexus 7700. They share the common foundation in terms of the operating system, in terms of the concept of the fabric, and in terms of the concept of forwarding. Guys, this is, you know what I call it? I call it marketing. We really need to be more realistic. And for the purpose of being more realistic, guys, I would request you to find an odd apple out, and then we will dissect why we are saying that this apple is an odd apple. And when I'm saying apple, I'm talking about all the models in Nexus 7000 family, both 7000 and 7700 family, to find one odd apple out. Can you please tell me, as per, again guys, this is a layman's question, don't think it so I'm just giving you a hint. Don't try to give me an answer based on your technical know-how, right? Just think that you are a 5th standard student, and then you can give me the right answer. So please tell me, in this particular table, what do you think, which particular switch is an odd apple? Nishant.
I think 7018.
7018, 7010, 7009. It is only one apple which is odd. So guys, you said ODD, ODD, odd. Yes, odd apple. It's not a all capital, all uppercase is ODD. It is not an acronym of some abbreviation. 7. Umesh said 7009. All right. All other are okay. 7. Amulya said 7004. All right, guys. $1 million question is being asked correctly. So the one who has given the correct answer can grab $1 million. Check $1 million in your account. Guys, I said, think that you are not technical, right? You are just in primary classes, mathematics, where you know the odd numbers and even numbers very well. 7009 is an odd number, right? This is not the reason actually, but this proved us to be an odd, and we said thank you very much. Thank you very much. You better go out. And Cisco declared it as end of life and end of sale very soon of its inception. But why? Let's think it logically. Why we are saying that 7009 is an odd switch? Let us try to look at into, go back to our friend called Cisco 3D Interactive Catalog, wherein we have got Nexus 7000 series of switches. Let us start looking at into Nexus 7018. Let's, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be very sarcastic over here, right? And in case if anyone from Cisco is here, please, right? Please don't mind, but I'm going to be very sarcastic when it comes to the switches. These switches. Okay, 7018, please come forward. All our dear friends are expecting you. Why are you taking time, huh? Because of the bandwidth issue? Okay. Guys, 7018. Now, this is of course you. This is a background noise. Would you mind putting yourself on mute, my dear friend? Okay, thank you very, very much. All right. So let us open it. Oh, front door. Guys, wow. This particular switch has got, you know what? A glass door with a lock in it. Can I open this? Let me unlock the door. Okay, it has not given me the keys. No worries, we'll take a look on other switches. And the line cards, let's take the one line card out. Fine, line card is out. Let us take another line card out. First of all, we are going to put it back. Another line card out. Thank you very much, line card. Now let us look at into our dear friend called fabric module. Line cards front of the chassis fixed in a horizontal position. Wow. Fabric modules rear of the chassis in a vertical position came out. All right, fine. It suffice to that of our statement, which we said the line cards front horizontal, fabric module rear vertical. Fine. Our statement about the fabric concept proves correct over here. Let us go and quickly take a look on 7018. The switches are taking time. Don't worry, guys. We have 15 more minutes left, and the question asked by you, my dear friend Abhinav, is definitely going to be answered shortly. Okay, let us open a door. Wow, never heard of door. Wow. The door, glass door, in front of the line cards. And let us take one line card out. Line card, front, placed vertically. First time we are saying the vertically placed line card. Fine, fair enough. Let's try another line card. Line cards are also known as input-output modules. That's the reason IO module is written. We are taking another line card out. Again, vertical, front of the chassis. Let us take a quick look on its fabric module. Where are the fabric? Yeah, fabric module. Oh, glass door closed, locked. Wow, bolted and fabric module, guys. Rear of the chassis placed in a horizontal position. Okay, we have not seen this kind of architecture in 9500, but still it suffices to our understanding of fabric, where we said fabric is nothing but horizontal and vertical weaving of strings together. Fine, it is going to suffice. Now, guys, let us take a look. One more thing I wanted to show you in 7010. That is the placement of the supervisor engine. Supervisor, SUP2E. Okay. SUP2E has come out vertically and placed middle of the chassis. Fine, fair enough. This means something is there called mid plane. Guys, now I'm going to talk about an odd apple. 7009. And let us look at into this in a more practical way. First of all, we can see a beautiful glass door in front. Let us open the glass door. Wow, beautiful glass door. We have never seen ever before. Never we will get an opportunity in our life to see a glass door in front. Guys, I'm so sarcastic. I'm so sorry if you are minding it. Then, sir, in 7010, they have line cards. Okay, Nishant is asking something. Nishant, your question is, let me read the question. There is a timeout, you know, a timeout. To 7010, they have line card, vertical, and fabric modules. Vertical is that mistake that you were talking about? No. Well, there is a correction. Yeah. Fabric modules are horizontal. Still, it will suffice, Nishant, as I said, the requirement of a real fabric or the weaving of the line cards and the fabric modules together. Though it is not as per our understanding, this makes my explanation, previous explanation with regards to 9500 incorrect, but still okay. Now, coming over to Nexus 7009. Beautiful. We have got a glass door. You know what glass door hinders? Think of what glass door hinders. And Abhinav, here I'll give answer to your question. If you think of glass door, guys, then let us look at and take out one of the line card. Well, front of the chassis, positioned horizontally. Very good. Thank you very much. Let us take out M2 line card. What is this F? What is M2? We will be talking about not today, but in our next class. All right, line card came out horizontally, front of the chassis. Let us now try to take out one of the fabric module. So we are now going to remove fabric module. Guys, what do you observe over here? Don't you think it's so weird? And it falsifies my statement earlier that the fabric modules, they have to be placed, number one, rear of the chassis. Number two, ideally, holistically, they need to be placed in a vertical position. Here, in this particular chassis, both our line cards and the fabric module, let me open the door. Let me keep the door open. Let me grab my notorious pen over here. Choose a color. Yellow, it looks good to me. And guys, what is this? Wow, a glass door. I'm so sorry, guys. Excuse me because this digital pen doesn't work that good in my Windows. Got it. That's why 7009 glass door, right? Glass door. I'm so sorry, guys. My pen doesn't work so well in GoToMeeting pen facility. Number 1 point, weird. Line cards are placed horizontally, but the fabric modules, what we saw over here, guys, the fabric modules are placed horizontally. I'm changing the pen color. Horizontally, and that too in front. Just think, the intention of the holistic purpose of fabric module is to provide interconnectivity to the line cards. So think, if you place fabric modules in front and that too horizontally, do you think it can provide the most intelligent and highest throughput of connectivity between the line cards? Answer is indeed no. What it can provide you, just an ASIC, but not the highest throughput of connectivity between the line cards and thus to the data plane. Guys, this is indeed a flaw, because this does not suffice to the actual purpose of the fabric. Okay. Nexus 7009 should definitely go out. I'm not saying that this is not in production, but where the production is not very critical. In those data centers, you may find 7009, or you may find 7009 in the lab environments. Okay. I have slightly put my pen down because I now have to come over to something. Well, I really have to clean. How does the connectivity happen then? All right, good question, Nishant. I'm so sorry, I missed to tell you. The connectivity in such a case depends upon the mid plane All right. If we have a setup like this, I go back. If we have a setup like this means the connectivity between the line cards, in between the line cards through this fabric module is dependent on the mid plane, and this mid plane is nothing but it is a copper traces spread inside the chassis. Otherwise, just think how line cards they will interconnect with each other when fabric module is not supporting this interconnectivity. The physical interconnectivity I'm talking about. The logical interconnectivity, yes, NFP, network forwarding engine, is programmed ASIC chip is there, but besides having the logical programmed based interconnectivity, there should be a physical interconnectivity support also to be provided by fabric module, which is not there in 7009 chassis. Now guys, I'll just take 5 more minutes of you. So mid plane is vertical then. Yes, Nishant. Mid plane has to be there, and the best option is it has to be vertical. Chassis is there vertical, so mid plane is there. All right. Now, not more than 5 minutes. 5 more minutes I'm going to take. I can see many friends of mine, they have already left. Maybe they must be believing that. I just wanted you guys to equip yourself to be ready to listen to me for 1.5 hours in our daily classes. So I'm going to wrap up finally with a quick, beautiful, which I need not speak. The slide in itself will speak. Dear friends, truly is telling you that I really need not tell you this discrete airflow in our Nexus 7000. I now need not tell you why. In 7010, the flow is from front to back, and that too from the bottom front to the upper back. Probably I really need not tell you in 7018 why the flow is from side to side. Fresh or cool air is coming from its left hand side and going out from hot air is going out from left hand side. Same is happening in 7009. I really need not tell you about 7004 why the fresh air is coming, the cool air is coming from left and exiting out from the rear. Guys, the culprit of this discrete airflow, what do you think? Who is the culprit of this discrete airflow? Guys, you can give me a quick answer. Guys, the person responsible for this discrete airflow is nothing but the glass door. Yeah, Cisco. Yes, I really. It is, of course, Cisco. Why Cisco? Because Cisco thought of adding certain fancy components into it, locking the switch with the help of glass door. If you are putting glass door in front, of course, glass door will hinder the air. Definitely, the glass doors are removable. And if you go in any of the data center using 7000 series of switches, nowhere you will get an opportunity to see the glass door being used. Why? Because it is definitely going to impact the temperature of the chassis. The temperature will definitely increase if you put the glass door in the chassis in front. And due to that reason, because the design was asking to put the glass door, so the airflow, they change from left to right, from bottom to up, rear and all. The mistake done, couple of mistakes done in 7000 architecture, but rectified in 7700 architecture. Guys, look at now. In 7700 architecture, the flow is very much standardized from front to rear. Hot air exiting out from the rear, cool air is entering from the front, as it is there with regards to all the models, previous as well as post models. Guys, that brings us to an end. It is dot 8:30 p.m. IST. I am done with my explanation for the day. If you have any question, then I am right in front of you to answer. Couple of questions, for example, Umair, probably you are not here with us. I parked the question because the question is with regards to the next topic called Nexus operating system question, with regards to licensing and all, understanding the operating system and all. Those questions will be, those queries will be addressed in next. Okay, fine. Any question, guys? I have got still with me. Thank you so much for bearing. Abhinav, Anko, Demba, Mani, Mujahid, Nishant, Ranjit, Sandeep, Santosh, and Umair still with me. Thank you so much, guys. Let me stop